because we all have egos. The best teams, there's a lot of egos in the change room. Macho. Who's going to be the main guy? Who's going to be the main guys? So you think with all the success, I'm playing a massive role. He's playing a massive role. And then the managers, manager's doing a great manager, but he has huge significance. He has huge kind of reasons as to why he is the main guy, because we only realized when he left. And he left, and as you can see, what's happened since he's left, the ship isn't as steady anymore, doesn't know exactly where it's going. You need a leader to direct you, and he was the guy.
Studying his mind and his thoughts has been my MBA. We run 4 businesses back in India. Every single team meeting that I have with my team, I'm trying to channelize Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm trying to channelize Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, trying to give the most to my team and be intense, keep that fire alive. And you know how they say that when you're a boy and you watch football for the first time, you're drawn to a football club and you don't know why you're drawn to that football club, but you just choose it. At least for the Manchester United fans back home in India, I've always noticed that the Manchester United fans are the guys who are intense. And that's what we were drawn to as kids. I think that people know a lot about Sir Alex's mind, but this thing you said about keeping that competitive energy alive within the locker room, I think on some level, he obviously would have noticed it, because his key lesson in leadership is observe. That's the first lesson he writes about. He says that he was the best observer in any room. That's what let him be Sir Alex Ferguson. So I'm sure he knew these things and he was egging you guys on. He probably encouraged it in some ways.
But also it's about recruitment. He's recruiting guys he knows can add to the culture like that, and they would embed themselves in that culture. Like, recruitment is a huge thing. You have to understand people before they sign. Like, I met him before I signed, but that meeting could have gone one way or the other, depending on the way that we interacted. So he's probably a good reader of people as well, understanding what culture he has and what ingredient they can bring. But I think one of his best traits, I think, yeah, great observing, obviously, but one of his best traits is that delegation and allowing other people to lead in certain areas. Like in our change room, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but in our changing room at the training ground, we're there more than anywhere else. We're training every day at the training ground. How many times do you think Sir Alex Ferguson came into that changing room?
Apparently never.
He's probably, I couldn't feel one hand. One of the times was to say he was leaving. One of the times when we was naughty as a team. But he allowed us leaders in there to govern the change room, to manage punctuality, manage standards, do you know what I mean? Manage that culture. And he allowed other people in other areas like SNC, sports, the conditioning area, the logistics person, the guy who's going to help with the physios, the doctor. Those guys ran their own areas and they report into him, because he can't do everything. There's too much to do as a manager. There's enough just to do with the players. So he was great at that. And I think that, as I said, that allowed him to be who he was and use his strengths with the squad.
They say that the greatness of a boss is showcased by how the organization runs when the boss is not around. That's exactly what we're talking about.
No, definitely.
Hoping that Ruben can kind of mimic, hoping that this reaches Ruben.
Yeah, I think culture is everything, man. Like, and also there needs to be repercussions for certain things.
You need to call out the bullshit.
Yeah, if there's bad performances, repercussions, you don't play. Like, if bad attitude, bad body language, nip it in the bud quick. Like, these things, like, you can't accept, there can't be allowance for certain things. Pep's team, there's a fear there. There's an underlying fear that he won't accept certain behaviours and certain traits if it's not beneficial to the team. Jurgen Klopp there's fear there behind it. As much as they're all laughing and nice, but there's a fear. We need some fear in Man United now. I mean,
that's the most important thing you just said.
You need fear. There needs to be fear that if I don't play well, I won't play. Yeah, if I don't run, the manager will take me out. He's going to scream at me. So someone's going to be not happy with me. At the moment, everything's too nice. Everyone's friends. Sometimes you need to fall out. It's not a bad thing to fall out. It's not a bad thing to have uncomfortable conversations. You have to be comfortable there. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's good to have that.
I'm going to take it back to my own career just for a bit. Didn't do an MBA, didn't know how to run a business. My business knowledge came from watching interviews of you guys, understanding how you guys ran the locker room. And a lot of adult football fans, I think on a subconscious level, still follow the sport for that exact reason.
Mm.
The greatest mistake of my career is that on our first talent management agency, we used to openly say that, hey, we have a family culture. And there was good intention behind that. There was togetherness behind that. But that was the mistake because people started taking advantage of working with your elder brother. And we quickly switched that on our cultural document and turned it into sports team mentality and added intensity, added fear. And it's been the best career decision I've made for all the businesses. I think that what you're talking about, this element of fear, this is at the DNA of any great team. Like you spoke about Guardiola running City. We had Gundogan on the show a few days ago. He spoke about the exact same thing. He said that even within the players, there's competitiveness and you have to keep the level high or you're going to be dropped, maybe for a young player.
Yeah.
Feel that a little bit missing at United lately over the last...
Yeah, that's been, I think that's easy to see. It's not been there. And that needs to change. I think it's accepting below top tier eliteness has been something that's been in the club for a while now. And if you're going to be successful, you can't allow for substandards, and it has to come from the top. And it's weird. I mean, even in my businesses, like even with the media company we have here, the podcasts and stuff, I put in the extra work. I go the extra mile, whether it's researching, whether it's exhausting my contacts book, or traveling here, there, and everywhere to make sure that we get the right people, the right interviews, the people behind the camera. Like always pushing the envelope as what's new on the market. Never rest, never be satisfied. Oh, we've got the great new ones now, but what's coming down the line? I want to know. We need to be first. And so that energy creates a culture that really I don't want to have to be pushing these guys, but I have to start, and then hopefully they take it on, and then now pushing someone on the next in the chain. And that's how I hope that it works.
I love your office. Because you feel the Manchester United culture here.
Oh, good.
That's what it is, right? I think that's what you've tried to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Brought Man United culture to this office.
Yeah. You bring what you know. It's like I said at the beginning of the interview about my mum and dad. I work hard because I saw what hard work looked like. So I know what hard work looks like. My mum and dad work bloody hard. And so these guys who I'm working with need to see what hard work looks like. So they can't take shortcuts. I don't take shortcuts. I'm at the top. So you shouldn't be doing it. And that's how I was with Sir Alex Ferguson. I should get into the training ground and try and be first in sometimes. His car was always there. He's in first, last out.